I work as an undisciplinary artist, so a lot of the work that I make is thinking about how a medium can question other media. So I might use performance to question photography, or film to question performance, and a lot of times the media that I'm working with is intended to ask a question. I work with materials that are kind of on the line between luxury and utility, and they are also used for preservation of archives. And for me, the basis of an archive is the Black feminine social space. So I think a lot about Black femme aesthetics, and I work with family members and people that I love in order to show the ways that our bodies in space ultimately are the foundation for which we understand value.
My work is a documentation of stories about healing from sexual violence. I'm documenting the types of knowledges your grandmother would tell you about how to be safe in this world. I use a lot of found jewelry, and people also donate items to the pieces, so jewelry, clothing, worn objects. Being Indigenous and thinking about artifacts, it's beautiful to have a practice to ask people what they want to be remembered with as kind of like a protective factor in the work. There's all these layers folks have to interact with before they can even see the person. There's a mask, there's jewelry, there's audio, there's voice. There's boundaries in the space before you can interact with my work, which is important. I think safety is such an important part of my work because for me, telling my own story as well, it needed to be done in a safe way. It's a conversation everybody needs to be a part of if there's ever going to be any change.
I think of myself as a nouveau pictorialist, which is this term that I made up that refers back to this early moment in the beginning of the history of photography where, first of all, women and queer people were behind the camera in an unprecedented way. But it's a moment where photographs were really constructed in the same way that my images are made. So costume and materials are used on top of subjects to sort of create these allegorical images. And I approach my work in the same way. The female gaze has been central to my work. I felt really cautious about the idea of photographing women because I was very aware of a long, violent history of the camera and the female body. And as I've continued to photograph, I've given myself a little bit more like agency and permission to be a responsible practitioner. But it's always with this very cautious and particular idea of trying to make my subjects monumental. I think about photographs as monuments. So even if they're representing something nefarious, I still want them to feel important and like themselves and beautiful. Beauty is important.